Nate and I were talking, and he suggested an interesting video idea, which is basically going through the mainline Assassin's Creed games and taking a look at what we consider to be the best element or thing or feature of each one. Essentially, the thing that stands out to us the most from each game that we remember when we go back to playing them that makes the game feel special. So we're going to start with Assassin's Creed 1 here. And if you have any suggestions in the comments down below, please feel free to leave them. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let's hop right into it.
So we're going to start off with AC1 here, and what we think is the best feature about this is specifically Altair's character development. This game, I think, if it's not the best in the entire Assassin's Creed franchise for the main characters, for the character development, it's definitely tied for the best.
Yeah.
The only other one I could think of is maybe AC2 that would rival it, but in Assassin's Creed 1, Altair definitely had great character development. He kind of started out as a dick, to be honest with you, and he got Merrick, as I call him Merrick, I know his name's Malik. He got his arm basically cut off, and
he got his brother killed.
Yeah.
Wait! There must be another way. This one need not die.
An excellent kill. Fortune favors your blade.
Not fortune, skill. Watch a while longer and you might learn something.
Indeed. He'll teach you how to disregard everything the Masters taught us.
And how would you have done it?
I would not have drawn attention to us. I would not have taken the life of an innocent. We were asked to retrieve the treasure and deal with Robert only if necessary.
He stands between us and it. I'd say it's necessary.
Altair, basically, when he got his brother killed, he didn't even really care.
No, he actually just left Malik for dead.
Right. He basically was like, yeah, whatever.
He left Malik in the tomb.
Yeah.
And he just pieced out. And he went back to Masyaf and he was just like, yeah, I don't know. I guess we messed up.
Right.
The mission went bad. Robert was there. It was a mess. Sorry about that.
Right.
And Al-Mualim was like, what?
I have failed you.
The treasure?
Lost to us.
And Robert?
Escaped.
You returned to me with nothing but apologies and excuses.
I did.
Do not speak. Not another word.
And he's just like, yeah, whoopsie doopsie. I guess we made a little whoopsie, didn't we? Then in comes Malik, stumbling through the door with his arm absolutely destroyed, and also his brother dead. And he's like, Altair screwed us over big time. He's the reason why my brother's dead, and also I'm basically losing my arm now.
Where are Malik and Kadar?
Dead.
No! Not dead.
Malik?
I still live at least.
And your brother?
Gone. Because of you!
Robert threw me from the roof. There was no way back. Nothing I could do.
Because you would not heed my warning! All of this could have been avoided! And my brother would still be alive!
Yeah.
And Altair was like, whoops. He just didn't even care.
Right.
He didn't apologize,
he
nothing.
brushed past it.
He was like, oh, well, I guess you guys should have been stronger. He was very much also conceited and arrogant, and he believed that his way was better than the Creed, which he even admits later on. He says the Creed was supposed to be, it's not like the end-all, be-all of answers. It's supposed to be an admittance of, we don't know everything, but, we shouldn't be... It's kind of like the opposite of what the Templars want.
Yeah,
The Templars believe we can know everything. We know more than you. We should control you. We are the elite. And the Assassins is kind of the opposite of like, we are no better than you. We try and maintain freedom and allow order, but not impose it. And Altair believed, well, no, I'm Altair. I'm basically a master assassin.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, I should be able to kill whoever I want. This guy is annoying. Dead.
Right.
This guy's in the way. Dead. I mean, even in the main story, he kills a lot of people who don't need to die.
Tell me what he's planning.
I know only the stories I tell, nothing more.
A pity. There's no reason to let you live if you've nothing to offer in return.
Wait! There is one thing.
Continue.
He is preoccupied as of late. He oversees the production of many weapons. It seems Tamir supports another, but I know not who.
Is that all?
Yes. I've I've told you everything I know.
Then it's time for you to rest.
You know, kind of reaching the end point of the story where he's realizing, oh, I was just a piece of human garbage.
Well, I love throughout the whole game Altair and Malik's interactions.
Yeah.
Basically at the assassin bureaus. I think they're kind of funny, but also a little interesting. I love seeing throughout the story Altair slowly start to care more about what he's doing and care more about the story, and starting to see, you know, when you get obviously to the later on in the story, some of the corruption that's happening.
Safety and peace, Malik.
Your presence here deprives me of both. What do you want?
Al-Muallim has asked.
Ask that you perform some menial task in an effort to redeem yourself.
You'd do well to assist me. His death benefits the entire land.
Do you deny his death benefits you as well?
Such things do not concern you.
Your actions very much concern me.
I love the part where basically Altair goes up to Malik and apologizes to him. Mm-hmm. And then Malik basically says, you have no reason to apologize. You're not the same man you are now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I like that whole scene between the two of them, and I think Altair's character development in this is pretty great, actually.
Yes.
Because you actually feel like you as the player are growing with Altair throughout the game.
Well, the mystery of this game, I think that this ties into it as well. And I didn't want to make it two different things.
Yeah.
But I think it really ties into Altair's character development, along with Desmond and the real world stuff. This game, like we talked about in a previous video, I think it does the mystery of Assassin's Creed probably the best. Because you're being introduced to all these concepts. You know, at the beginning, Altair doesn't really know what a Templar is. He knows of the Knights Templar Order, but he doesn't know that there's anything more to them than that. He doesn't know about the secret society type side of it. And Desmond doesn't either. You know, and you're kind of seeing those two characters learn at the same time and grow at the same time. And that really, I think, tied into who Altair was, because he didn't understand that there was these bigger pictures. You know, he didn't understand that there was these, I should say, like, levels to what he was doing.
Yeah.
He saw it as bad person, me kill bad person, and that's it. And you know, he was just thinking about it almost like an animal. He was literally just a killer, and that's all he was. And I would argue that by the end of the game, I don't think he really takes pleasure in killing.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
I don't think it's something that he goes out of his way to do, like, oh boy, I get to kill this guy. But at the beginning, I'd argue he was kind of behaving a little psycho. You know, he had no regard for human life. He had no regard for his fellow assassins. He just cared about himself and his mission, and he wanted to do his mission not because he believed it was the right thing to do, but because it was a point of pride for him. Of
right.
Like, I'm
it was
the
a way to
best.
show off, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the best. I'm the best here. None of you are as skilled as me. And you can even tell, you know, early on that he has that kind of reputation around Masyaf, that he's the most skilled assassin. But it's interesting to see how he's so skilled, but he lacks any wisdom at the beginning of the game. And it's so different, even though we're not at this point. It is so crazy to play the opening of this game with Altair, and then see the ending cutscenes with him, or even more so, see his character in Revelations.
Yeah, right.
It's a totally different person.
Well, yeah, in Revelations, or at the end of this game, he's, I would say, a very noble assassin. He actually understands what the cause is, he understands what he needs to do, and he doesn't necessarily want to do it, like you said, but he knows what he has to do. And I kind of piggybacking onto this, I really like the ending of the game too, with
Al-Muallim.
yes, thank you. My mind went blank.
Yeah.
Al-Muallim, and how basically the mystery of it is revealed, and whoa, actually this guy who's supposed to be your master is actually like the Templar.
What's happening?
So, the student returns.
I've never been one to run.
Never been one to listen either.
And one thing I liked about that, which has to do with Altair's character development, is that Al-Muallim throughout the game was actually giving Altair good advice.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing, is Altair was kind of a dick at the start, And for the first, I'd say 5, 6, 7 sequences of the game, he didn't really want to listen to Al-Mualim at all.
Right.
Like, he just basically was like, you're an old man and a fool, to quote Thor.
Yeah.
And I'm not listening to you at all. I know what I'm doing. But the whole time you're listening to Al-Mualim and you're like, wow, this actually makes sense. Like, okay. Like, Altair is pretty reckless and all the other insults he throws at him. And then by the very end, it's like, oh, but he's also a Templar. But, like, his story works.
And he had a point.
And, right, exactly. He had a point.
I think he was kind of like a Templar because he was so disenfranchised by the logic that he saw.
Yeah. And that's what I think is very interesting, is when Altair began to realize all that, he began to actually take heed of the guy's lessons that he taught him, but then started to realize that this guy is maybe going down a different path that he shouldn't be. And that's when he starts to obviously get into he needs to stop him and apologize to Malik and whatever. But anyways, I just find it interesting too. I find Al-Mualim's story, Big Al's story, to be interesting in how he connects to his character development too.
You know what's something that I think, I didn't even really think about this, but I thought about it because you mentioned it. It wasn't even on my mind before. But something about Altair I really like by the end is his wisdom.
Yeah.
Is the idea of, I don't know everything. In fact, I don't know much of anything at all. The world is extremely confusing. I'm finding out that there are things going on that I had no idea of. You know, almost magical artifacts, at least to him, that are beyond understanding. You know, that he spent years of his life after this researching, by the way. And, oh wow, you know, I spent my whole life borderline worshiping this master, and then I believed I was better than him. And then in the end, in a way, he becomes more moral than, you know, Al-Mualim, because he even appeals to morals.
Right.
Altair. Yeah. Altair says it's wrong. And at that point, Al-Mualim says, oh, so you've abandoned logic and embraced emotion then. You know, what happened to you?
You won't succeed. Others will find the strength to stand against you.
Illusions! All of them!
What you plan is no less an illusion. To force men to follow you against their will.
Is it any less real than the phantoms the Saracens and Crusaders follow now? Those craven gods who retreat from this world that men might slaughter one another in their names? They live amongst an illusion already. I'm simply giving them another. One that demands less blood.
At least they choose these phantoms.
Or do they? Aside from the occasional convert or heretic?
It isn't right.
And now logic has left you. In its place, you embrace emotion.
And it's interesting because it's wrong isn't really something that Altair would have said earlier. Yes, they don't know everything, but he can still tell when something is just not right. When it's not okay. Like, it's not okay to enslave people with the apples of Eden just because people are misguided and stupid. That doesn't give you the right to play God with them. But Al-Mualim believes it does, because he believes he has more wisdom and knowledge than them. And something I think is really interesting about Altair's character development, kind of coming full circle here, is something that I wish people in real life now would actually learn, which is that you can get wisdom from people that are wrong, or people you disagree with.
Yeah.
So something I've noticed in real life, I don't want to make this a preachy thing, but I think it does tie into this. And it ties into the wisdom of who Altair becomes.
You're about to tell us who to vote for in the 2024 election.
And 2028 and 2032, and, you know, I'm just going to go all the way down the line.
Cool.
But, you know, I think it's interesting that in real life now we see a lot of people rejecting wisdom, rejecting knowledge of other people because they disagree with them.
Right.
They'll say, well, I'm Christian and you're Islamic, so anything you say holds no value at all. Or I'm atheist and you're Buddhist. Anything you say that's spiritual holds no value at all. There's no wisdom to be found in it. Or even, I'm Democrat and you're Republican. Or I'm American and you're from England. And people will draw these lines.
That one's understandable. But
yeah, absolutely. We beat them so many times. But, you know, they'll draw these lines.
Yeah.
And they'll say, no, you're different than me. You hold no wisdom. And what's interesting to me about Altair is he goes from that. He starts that way. His is even worse. It's just, you are not me. Anyone outside of me is a moron. And he, by the end, realizes, oh, I don't know everything I thought I knew. It's so confusing out there, and there's so many layers to the world and I am not the master of knowledge. And he takes the wisdom of Al-Mualim, and he does incorporate it into his life even after this. He rejects Al-Mualim's final conclusion of, so we should use the apple and we should do this and that, and he rejects that, but he still takes the wisdom that Al-Mualim did share, which a lot of it was true, a lot of it had some truth in it at least, even though it was a deception. And he incorporates it into who he becomes. This person, who I would argue goes down an evil path by the end of the game, influenced Altair to become a better person. And I think a lot of times, especially in modern two-dimensional character writing, because there's a lot of that, you would see, well, the bad guy, he's just the bad guy. Reject anything he says at all.
Right.
There was nothing there. But I think Altair is smart enough and wise enough to see, well, there's nuggets of truth in this. It's just, what do you do with it? Instead of going down the path of taking this wisdom and enslaving, what if we take this wisdom and safeguard freedom? What if we take this wisdom and make the assassins better? He could have stepped in. He could have stepped in, become the new Al-Mualim, and just led them like a figurehead and done whatever he wanted with a strong hand. And honestly, things might have even gone better for him personally, because you find out later in the games, without getting into heavy spoilers for them, that he loses control of the assassins.
Yeah.
Because there's basically a betrayal and everything. If he had led it with an iron fist like Al-Mualim did, maybe that would have never happened. But the assassins would have been worse. They would have been less moral. They would have safeguarded freedom less. They would have basically just become the Templars. And Altair puts aside those selfish things, I think, which is something so different from how he started out.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think a lot of advice I've heard, because you can go on to your point, I've heard a lot of advice surrounding that with like parenting too, where they say like, to be a good parent, you have to take the good and the bad from your parents and then either apply the good stuff to your parenting style and obviously don't do the bad stuff. And it's just kind of a never-ending cycle of improving on parenting, or at least that's how it should be. Whereas a lot of people now just like feel like they're like, oh, my parents were bad, I hate them.
Yeah, they were idiots.
Right, and it's kind of like, okay, well, yeah, but they might have been, but there probably still is some good stuff. Or you can even take the bad stuff they did and you can at least apply that to your life too and say, well, I'm not going to do that. So that's a good point with taking people that you wouldn't really normally agree with, but there still is lessons to be learned from them. And that's something I think Altair did so well in this game, I should say. And then also, I know he appears in Revelation briefly, but that's something I think was so good about his character, was that he was willing to take good stuff about other people, even bad people, and apply that to his own life. By the end of the game. By the beginning of the game, he was not willing to do that at all.
No.
He's just, I'm Altair, you're not.
I'm a jerk.
Right. But by the end of the game, he actually gained a lot of wisdom to say, well, there's some good stuff here. You had some lessons I can learn too, and I'm going to be a better person because of it.
I think the character writing in this, it reminds me a lot of a fleshed out television series.
Yeah.
Or a novel. And I think that that's impressive for a game. There are a lot of games, but I should say there are a lot of games that won't make you feel that way.
Right.
You'll play the game and you'll be like, oh, well, John Call of Duty reached the end and he's pretty much the same guy and it's whatever.
Right.
But for the most part, I think in this game, they do a very good job of making your character progression feel natural and also dropping you into the thick of it, where you go from this person who's so conceited to someone who is so humble. And I think that's really cool. So anyway, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content if you enjoyed today's video. I thought it was a lot of fun and we had a good time. And I'm looking forward to taking a look at the other best things that the Assassin's Creed games did down the line. So be sure to subscribe for that. Let us know your suggestions in the comments down below as well. We also do have a Let's Play channel, Degenerate Plays, where we play through a wide variety of games podcast style. We are currently playing through Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, actually. So that's been fun. And we are going to play Assassin's Creed 1 in the near future. Played them a little out of order. We thought they were remaking 1, and apparently they're not. So I guess they decided 4 needs a remake more somehow, maybe, if that gets confirmed. So we look forward to seeing you over there. Have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shui.